There are places on Earth so dangerous, even nature warns you to stay away. Some go for the thrill, others never return. And what you're about to see isn't fiction, because not every map leads to safety. Some point to death, from silent zones to devil's waters. These places don't just kill, they erase you. There's a place in Zambia that tourists flock to for one reason: the thrill of touching death and surviving. It's called the Devil's Pool, and on the surface, it looks like a stunning natural wonder. A crystal-clear basin that sits at the very edge of Victoria Falls, the largest waterfall on Earth. But below the beauty lies a deadly trap. At the edge of the Devil's Pool, just inches from a 355-foot vertical drop, visitors swim, laugh, and pose for selfies while roaring water crashes just beside them. One wrong move, one slick rock, one unexpected current, and they're gone. Tour guides, locals who've grown up with the legend of the falls, warn tourists constantly. They know the river's moods. They know that when the water levels are even slightly high, the natural rock barrier that protects swimmers weakens. And they know what happens when it fails. There are stories, whispers, mostly about tourists who vanished after a slip. Official reports are scarce. It's Zambia's crown jewel of tourism, after all. Bad press is bad business. But the locals talk about them. A man from Europe who ignored his guide. A couple that ventured too close to the edge. A young woman who disappeared under the foam, her screams swallowed by the thunder of the falls. The area is steeped in ancient beliefs. The indigenous Tonga people believe the Zambezi River is sacred, home to powerful spirits. They speak of Nyami Nyami, the river god, half serpent, half fish, who watches over the water. Some say the Devil's Pool is where Nyami Nyami punishes the arrogant, where those who mock nature's power are offered to the depths. And then there are the photos, dozens of them, circulating online. Smiling tourists, perched on the lip of oblivion, the mist rising behind them like ghostly fingers. But look closer. Some images show things that shouldn't be there. Shapes in the mist, eyes in the water, figures watching from just beyond the rocks. Hoaxes? Light tricks? Or warnings from the river? The story of the Devil's Pool doesn't end with simple danger. There's a darker layer. In 2014, a British man named Thomas Jenkins visited the falls with his wife and two friends. He was excited, nervous, and, by all accounts, respectful. Their guide was experienced, cautious. Conditions were ideal. But as they reached the pool, something changed. Thomas reportedly paused at the edge, staring into the depths as if hearing something. Witnesses say he looked pale. Then, without a word, he stepped forward. His wife screamed. The guide lunged, but it was too late. He was gone. Divers found nothing. His body was never recovered. Locals said it was the river god claiming another soul. But Thomas's wife believed otherwise. In her later interviews, she described a strange pull, like a voice in the water. She said Thomas had been acting strangely for days, dreaming of drowning, waking up soaked in sweat. He spoke of a woman in white, calling to him from the river. No one could explain it. Another case, less known but even stranger, occurred in 2009. A group of tourists were swimming near the pool when a dense fog suddenly rolled in, unnatural, almost choking. Visibility dropped to inches. The guide shouted for everyone to hold hands and remain still. But one woman, later identified as a Canadian backpacker named Marla, was missing when the fog lifted. Her belongings were untouched. Her passport was found in her room. Her footprints led to the pool and stopped. Search teams scoured the river for days. Nothing. But 2 weeks later, a fisherman miles downstream reported seeing a woman walking along the riverbank, soaked and barefoot. When he called out, she turned, but her face was blank, pale, and then she vanished into the trees. No one ever confirmed the sighting, but locals have since reported glimpses of her, always near the water, always watching. They call her the Lost One. Some believe the pool doesn't just kill. It takes. It's not just superstition. There are scientific explanations that don't make the pool any safer. The hydrodynamics of Victoria Falls are extremely unstable. The pool's position, right at the edge, means even a minor change in current or rainfall can shift the entire river's behavior. What was safe 1 hour can become deadly the next. And with climate change affecting rainfall patterns, the river grows less predictable every year. Guides rely on experience, instinct, and luck. But nature doesn't play fair. In recent years, drone footage has shown just how close visitors get to death. The pool is a shallow depression, maybe 4 feet deep, guarded by a slippery rock lip. That lip is all that stands between a swimmer and a vertical fall into the abyss. From above, the scale is terrifying. A single misstep, a child losing grip, a sudden surge, yet the tourists keep coming. Some are thrill seekers. Some are influencers chasing likes. Some are drawn by something deeper, a fascination with death, with defying it. For them, the Devil's Pool is a challenge, a test. But not everyone leaves with photos. Not everyone leaves at all. A final tale, whispered by the older guides, tells of a man who swam alone at dawn before the tourists arrived. He wasn't scheduled. He wasn't part of any group. They only found his bag on the rocks. Inside, a notebook. No name, no ID, just one sentence, written over and over. The river remembers. The Devil's Pool doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care how careful you've been. It has patience. It has memory. And sometimes it calls you by name. They call it the zone of silence. Not because it's quiet, but because everything you trust to work fails. Adios di. Compasses spin. Even satellites go blind. Located deep within the Mapamai Desert of northern Mexico, this forbidden zone has baffled scientists, terrified locals, and lured the curious into its dust-choked jaws for decades. It began in the 1930s when Mexican pilot Francisco Sarabia reported strange radio interference while flying over the area. His equipment cut off completely, and for the first time in recorded aviation over Mexico, silence reigned in the sky. But that was just the beginning. In July 1970, a test missile launch from the White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico went wildly off course. It landed smack in the middle of the zone, 1,200 kilometers from its intended target. U.S. military teams entered the desert to recover the wreckage, but something was wrong. Radios refused to work. Magnetic fields were warped, and the soldiers who returned spoke of distorted voices in the air, voices that weren't their own. Local residents tell darker stories of glowing orbs floating in the sky, of 3 tall blonde strangers in silver suits offering water, then vanishing, of cattle found mutilated in geometrically precise patterns, organs removed, no blood, no tracks. Some believe it's a testing ground for extraterrestrials. Others say it's cursed. Biologists were stunned to find species here that exist nowhere else on Earth. Lizards with blue markings, albino plants that glow at night. Even the soil itself appears to contain strange metallic properties, confounding geologists. And through it all, compasses and GPS systems become useless. There's no phone signal, no satellite connection. Even birds avoid flying directly over the zone. Some think it's Earth's natural Bermuda Triangle. Others believe it's an energy vortex, a place where magnetic anomalies form a bridge between worlds. But one thing is certain, those who visit rarely leave unchanged. A group of tourists entered in 2005, documenting their journey with cameras. Footage later recovered showed them joking, walking deeper into the desert, and then static. Hours of static. When the authorities finally arrived, all they found were 3 empty tents and untouched supplies. No sign of struggle. No bodies. Just sand and silence. In 2013, a team of researchers attempted to study the anomaly. Drones sent into the heart of the zone stopped transmitting. Magnetic sensors were scrambled. Even their backup power sources failed without explanation. The lead scientist, Dr. Jorge Ramirez, described it best. It's like the Earth is swallowing our technology whole. Some say the zone moves, that it doesn't stay in one place for long, and that the people who disappear inside are still alive, just not in our reality. You can visit it. There are even tours. But ask the guides what they do if a radio fails, or if one of the group gets lost, and you'll see it in their eyes, the fear. They know this isn't just desert. It's a doorway. And once it opens for you, there's no guarantee it'll close again. There's an island off the coast of Brazil that looks like paradise. But step 1 foot on its shores, and you might not leave alive. Welcome to Ilha de Queimada Grande, better known as Snake Island, where something has gone horribly, unspeakably wrong. What you're about to hear isn't legend. It's worse. It starts with a light breeze, tropical trees rustling, and the gentle lapping of waves against rock. A small fishing boat draws near, its crew squinting toward land. Lush, untouched, serene. But hidden behind that beauty is death. Thousands of them, slithering, waiting. And the moment you enter, you're already being hunted. In the 1920s, a local lighthouse keeper and his family were assigned to live on the island. No one had mapped it fully, but the Brazilian Navy believed it needed man surveillance. The first week was quiet, until their daughter spotted one inside the house. Then another. They tried to flee, but the snakes were faster. All 4 were found dead. Snake bites to the face, arms, neck. The mother's hand was still clawing toward the radio. She never made the call. The lighthouse was shuttered, permanently, but it was too late. Word had spread. Some say the snakes weren't natural, that they were placed there. Others say they evolved beyond anything science has explained. But everyone agrees, they do not fear humans. And once they strike, there's no antidote. You might ask, how many snakes are we talking about? Try 1 to 5 snakes per square meter. That means if you're standing still, there are snakes beneath your feet, behind your leg, inside that log you're resting on. And not just any snakes. The golden lancehead viper, one of the most venomous snakes on Earth. A bite from one of these melts human flesh. It turns skin black. It causes internal bleeding so severe, some victims die before realizing they were bitten. A Navy biologist once landed with a research team in the 80s. Their visit lasted 4 hours. When they returned, he refused to speak for weeks. Later, he confessed what he saw. They fell from trees. They moved silently in patterns, watching us. Like they knew we didn't belong. Locals whisper of boats that docked on the wrong beach and never returned. One fisherman's vessel drifted back ashore without a single drop of blood, but teeth marks lined the seats. His dog was found wrapped in coils. No human remains were ever discovered. Just drag marks into the forest. The snakes don't just kill. They make you vanish. But that's not the strangest part. Satellite imaging from 2013 caught something unusual. A heat signature that moved beneath the trees. Larger than any known snake species, faster than expected. Government scientists dismissed it as a weather anomaly. But leaked footage showed something else. A shadow that moved against the wind. One that wasn't entirely snake. There are conspiracy theories, of course, that it was once a military testing site, that an ancient civilization bred the snakes for worship or war. Some believe a curse was placed on the island after Portuguese sailors massacred a hidden tribe there. They say the tribe shamans summoned a protector, a guardian that still roams at night. You might think this is just speculation, but in 2015, a documentary crew bribed their way onto the island. Only 2 came back. The sound tech had been bitten twice. His face was swollen beyond recognition. He died on the boat. The cameraman quit film forever. His final words, "It watched us, it let us go." One photo emerged from that trip. Blurry, night vision, a coiled shape, too large. Yellow eyes reflecting the crew's spotlight. When questioned, The surviving journalist simply deleted the picture and said, "You don't bring that thing home." The Brazilian Navy has since increased patrols around the island. No civilian boats are allowed within 200 meters. But some daredevils, YouTubers, and illegal adventurers still try. One such video was uploaded anonymously in 2021. The footage is grainy, chaotic, someone screaming, "It's in the trees." The video cuts off with a hiss, followed by static. No one has claimed credit since. And then, there's the noise. Researchers deployed motion sensor cameras in 2017. Every night between 2 and 3 a.m., a low hum is captured, like a rhythmic pulse. Locals say it's the island breathing. Others say it's a call to something beneath, something ancient, one that wakes when the moon is high and the water is still. To this day, Ilha de Queimada Grande remains off limits. Not because of politics, not because of preservation, but because nature broke its rules there. The ecosystem mutated into a weapon, and no one knows who or what truly reigns at the top of the food chain. So the question remains, if no one is allowed there, why are there still lights at night? And why does satellite footage show shadows moving that leave no tracks? Snake Island isn't just forbidden, it's waiting. Some places are not meant to be touched. Nature's warnings, mysteries too dark to solve, and secrets wrapped in silence. From Brazil's venomous island to Mexico's magnetic void and Zambia's death-defying pool, the world hides corners that test the limits of human curiosity. If you're still brave enough to explore the unexplained, hit that like button, subscribe to Timeless Forge, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Which one would you dare to visit? Or have you already been to one? Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and never stop questioning the shadows.